Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ulsil, and today I wanted to do another update for my No Pan Left Behind project. I have been using the shadows I chose in my last update for almost 2 months now, I think, and I finally feel ready to try out something new. The reason why I haven't done another update in a while is because I have absolutely loved those eyeshadows that I chose, and also I did choose more than I typically do. Typically I choose about 5 or 6 shades that I work on for as long as I need to get to know them, and my only goal is to use each shade at least once. And this time around I had all these shades to work on because I initially chose these shades from my Stone Cold Fox palette from Colourpop, and then a Lethal Cosmetics eyeshadow and another single from Colourpop. So those were my initial shades that I wanted to work on, but then I got my order from Sydney Grace and I could not try them. So I got 12 eyeshadows, and then I chose these 10 to work on because those were the ones that I ordered, and then I got 2 as a gift with purchase kind of thing. And I think I'm going to do a separate video on these, going more in depth, talking about these eyeshadows, because I did originally purchase these eyeshadows because I wanted to try to find some dupes from some of my absolute favorite eyeshadows from my old collection that I was forced to declutter. So I have been on the hunt trying to find some dupes for those, and I believe maybe I found some of them within these eyeshadows from Sydney Grace. Yeah, so I'm going to do a separate video on that, but I will tell you like my favorites, my least favorites about these, and how many uses I did and all that. So, but first off, let's talk about these eyeshadows. With these 5 eyeshadows from the Stone Cold Fox palette, I did manage to mix them up a little bit. So somewhere along the road, I started mixing up the tracking on these 2 matte shades, which is Quarry Days and Bold Type. But this is Quarry Days and this is Bold Type. Obsidian was fine because it wasn't similar to the other 2, so I did track my uses accurately on that one. But these 2, again, I mixed up. I'm sorry. So we have Sediment to Be and then Baby Doll right here. So again, I mixed those 2 up. So the tracking numbers might not be exact, but nevertheless, I will say I really enjoyed all of those shades. So really happy with all of them. So just take my tracked uses on those with a grain of salt. But the first one, I'm going to talk about these shades separately for least favorite and most favorite first, and then I'll talk about the Sydney Grace ones next, because they are very different. So even though Obsidian isn't my most used shade, I will say it's my favorite. I've used this 12 times, and it is such a beautiful matte dark shade that works so nice for many uses. I really like to use this to darken up an eyeshadow look. Just put a little bit of this in the outer part of my eyes or as an eyeliner. I really enjoyed this shade. It was so beautiful. It just gave that little bit of a plummy effect to the taupey look that I had going on. My next favorite is Quarry Days. I used this 22 times. Initially, I didn't love the undertone because I was expecting more of a taupey shade. This is a little bit of a warmer taupe, but still absolutely beautiful, both in the crease or as an all-over shade. Then we have Bold Type. I used this 7 times and also really like this one, but I did find this to be a little bit too dark sometimes. But if I were careful, this was really nice as a crease shade. Actually, I probably would put Baby Doll as a favorite before the other one because It's just a really beautiful everyday shade. It was very easy to work with. I used this 8 time, just a beautiful warm metallic taupe. Sediment to Be, which I used 11 times, is also a very pretty metallic taupe, but it was probably my least favorite out of all of those 5 shades that I just talked about, just because it's a little bit too dark for an everyday look for me. And bear in mind, I have very light skin, so a lot of shades gets very easily too dark for me. But yeah, I did really like it. It was a beautiful shade though. I used Lethal Synth 5 times. This is a beautiful duochrome lavender, but I realized I don't love duochromes. I think it's because I don't feel like it's a shade I can use for an everyday eyeshadow look. I didn't feel like it was very easy to work with. I think it looks best as a topper, but not on its own. And so I was surprised. I'm gonna get to know more of the duochromes in my collection and see if I still feel the same, but from just trying this duochrome, I wasn't in love. Maybe it's just not for me. I did my very best to try to like this single eyeshadow from Colourpop called Earth Shine. This pinky lavender shade, it looks so beautiful in the pan. I used this 8 time, really trying to make this work, but this is just very patchy and not very good. So this is my least favorite. Next, we have the shades from Sydney Grace, and oh my god, I fell completely in love with these eyeshadows. Both the matte ones and the metallic ones, they're so beautiful. And these will probably set the standards for my eyeshadows going forward, because the quality of these are just extraordinary. It's going to be really hard to try to rank these from least favorite to most favorite. I used both Winter Wonder and Regal 8 times each, and I guess I would have to say that these are my least favorite, although I absolutely love them, just because they're not as pigmented as the other shades. But I don't think that's a bad thing though. There's a time and place for not so pigmented shades as well, and these are absolutely buildable. They're so gorgeous, especially the Winter Wonder shade as a transitional shade. Regal is beautiful in the crease. I just love these shades, but if I had to say a least favorite shade, it would be, I don't know, maybe this one, maybe Winter Wonder. But oh, I'm so glad I purchased these. They were exactly what I wanted, so I love these. It's just not fair to call them my least favorite because it sounds negative, but yeah. I'm gonna call Troops my next least favorite shades after those two, only because this is my least used shade. I only used this 4 times. And I think the reason for that is just because it didn't stand out to me as much as some of the other ones in the palette. Like I was more drawn to some of the other shades. So I think that's the only reason. This is a beautiful shade. A beautiful lavender with some silver undertones. And yeah, I did really, really enjoy this one too. But if I had to, I would place it here. Next, we have Concrete Road, which I used 6 times. And this is also such a beautiful, like, almost, I would categorize it as a gray, but it also has a lot of brown in it, but it's maybe like a super, super cool brown. It's just a perfect gray shade, I think. It's so beautiful. Then I used these 2 shades 7 times each. This is Peace and this is Go For It. They're both such beautiful shades. This is more of a metallic taupe. This is more of a mauvey shade. So, so beautiful. I absolutely loved using these. Okay, sorry. I had to put on the heater on the car because it's like 18 degrees Fahrenheit. It's really, really cold outside today. So, okay, where were we? Alright, Countess and Blushed, I used both 9 times each. Countess is like a beautiful, cool matte lavender purpley shade, whilst this metallic is more of a warm, rosy bronze shade. Both are absolutely stunning, and I'm so happy I was able to get this for my new eyeshadow collection. I'm so pleased with these Sydney Grace eyeshadows. I was hesitant at first because I had spent so much money repurchasing, building up my makeup collection again, and I had already purchased a bunch of eyeshadows. I just didn't feel that I had the right to purchase more, but I did, and I'm very pleased with these eyeshadows, so very happy about that. Solomon, a beautiful, deep, matte, reddish brown shade. Absolutely love. I used this 10 times. I mainly purchased it because I was trying to find a dupe for Cocoa Bear from Makeup Geek. So I'll let you know how close this is to Cocoa Bear in my dupes video. And lastly, we have Turtle Doves, which I used 15 times, no problem. This was so easy to incorporate into almost all eyeshadow looks, really. It's so beautiful on the lid, in the inner corner, just as an all-over eyeshadow. It's so, so beautiful. I just feel like it really enhanced the eyeshadow look, so this was such a beautiful shade, and I think this is my favorite one out of all of them, just because it was so versatile. It's like a warm, metallic, peachy, champagne-y shade. So beautiful. I mean, a lot of the looks that I did was me trying to pair a matte Sydney Grace with a metallic Sydney Grace shade, but I did really just play around with a lot of Sydney Grace, and when I just didn't feel like doing much with my eyeshadow, I went for the Stone Cold Fox eyeshadows from Colourpop, and then I just try to force myself to use Earthshine and Synth. Yeah, just because they were not easy to work with. So, but yeah, I really, really enjoyed this time period of me trying to get to know the Sydney Grace eyeshadows, and also, of course, working with these ones. I finally feel ready to move on, and I have decided, I just did this makeup look with my new obsession. I have decided to choose this whole palette to work on for my next period of time in this No Pan Left Behind. This is the Rose Quartz palette from Huda Beauty. I know most of you guys have heard of this. It's not a new palette, but it's one that I've been wanting for such a long time. I had the dupe for this from W7, and I will say, trying this now for the very first time, I bought this last year, so it's not like it's been sitting in my collection for a long time, but this is the first time I've even swatched these eyeshadows, so they're completely new to me. And I will say that, man, those W7 eyeshadows were incredible. That is such a good dupe. I will almost say that it's even better than the original, because what surprised me now when I tried these eyeshadows out is that some of them are a lot drier than I remember the W7 eyeshadows being. It could just be that I'm kind of colored by the fact that I just used Sydney Grace eyeshadows for weeks on end, and these are really just beautiful and creamy, and well, not creamy, but they're just very smooth to work with. And I was surprised, like, I did use Energized, this shade right here, on the lid today, and I was surprised that it was as dry as it actually was. And I'm a little bit surprised as to, you will see as I start out this eyeshadow look, I'm going to show you that a lot of these eyeshadows didn't really work all that great with a dry brush. I could have tried it with a wet brush, but I did end up using my fingers instead, and that worked well. And I'm really happy with the results of my eyeshadow look, but still, I'm like, I need to get to know this a lot to figure out if they're as good as I thought that they would be, because I put this eyeshadow palette on a pedestal just because I didn't feel like it was so expensive. I got the dupe. I didn't feel like I was worthy of having this in my collection. And now that I have it, I'm like, is it as good as I thought it was? I don't know, but we'll see. I'll give you an update next time. For this eyeshadow look, I did use Serenity in my crease. I just kind of like built that up a little bit. I also mixed in some Precious on the lower lash line, in the crease, in the outer part of my eyeshadow or my lid. And then I applied Energized all over the lid. And Self-Love as an inner corner highlight. I didn't feel like the eyeshadow got as deep and dark as I wanted it to be, so I did darken it a tiny bit with Mantra, and then I decided to put Abundance on the outer part of my lid as well. So I did end up really enjoying this eyeshadow look. I think it worked out really well. If you guys are wondering, I do have the Charlotte Tilbury Matte Beauty Blush one in Pillow Talk as a cream blush. And then I have Damson Mist from number 7 as a powder blush on top. And then on my lips, I just have the number 7 lip liner in Nude that I'm trying to pan with a little bit of Oh Snap from Colourpop, the lippy sticks that I'm also trying to pan. I don't love it on the lips, but it was just a perfect shade for the eyeshadow look. And then I topped it all with a lip gloss from Isadora in Vintage Rose is the name. Okay, so yeah, that is the look of today. I'm going to be working on the Huda Beauty palette for a few days, weeks, I don't know how long, and I'll give you an update whenever I'm ready. In my next update, I'm also going to go more in depth with all of these eyeshadows and talk more about them as I've gotten to know them a little bit better. If you feel like that was lacking in this video, I will do more of a review of this in my next update, I promise. I'm not putting too much pressure on myself these days, but I do want to get to know my eyeshadow collection nevertheless, and I feel like this is a great way to do it. I'm still a part of a project, just not maybe following the rules to a point, but it works well for me to do it like this. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for that Sydney Grace video. Maybe I'll try to film it today, we'll see. But anyways, thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye!